when I got there, I got the material. It was obvious that, they have specific things that they want me to sing, and I don't know any of these songs. And I was like, I got another plan. I will go down to where the audition is, and I'm going to just hang out there all day long listening to what they're doing in the room.
Wow.
But I get down there, and they don't have any morning auditions.
Oh.
We should throw people for a loop and just skip an episode or two here or there, and then see if anyone.
I don't want to mess with the listeners. I want them to know. I was in the last. I was listening to the last episode, and now I'm up to this episode, and now I know. Like, it's good. It's
like Bono and Vertigo. Uno, dos, no,
tres,
one.
no, it's uno, dos, tres, quattorze, which isn't how numbers work. Yeah, thanks, Bono. Yeah,
but he thought he was being so cute. 1, 2, 3, 14. Hello. That's what the song sounds like to me.
I've never seen you this energetic.
Oh, really? I guess that's just my Bono impression. It took everything out of me. Like, where the streets have no name.
Oh my god, I didn't know you were such a big U2 fan.
I'm not.
Okay.
I do have a friend named Rob Ebenick, a comedian, and we were arguing on Facebook because he says that they're worse than Nickelback. And I'm like,
that's a big claim.
No. And also, I enjoy some Nickelback songs. So my taste is trash. Welcome to I'm Trying, the show where your hosts have trash tastes, but it's a failure at being culturally relevant.
Okay.
So it fits. Right. I'm JhanelleDennis.
I'm Jacob Durwood. Thanks for joining us for episode 12. We're really glad you're here. I, for one, think I have fantastic taste.
I know you do, because you listen to, like, cool, rock, like, indie rock.
Cool indie rock.
Yeah, where the lyrics are so deep. You're
saying a lot of things right now.
I feel like you feel offended.
No.
You're like, that is true, but I don't like it for some reason. No, you like music that is very deep.
I like thoughtful music, yes.
Profound.
Sometimes.
And
not always, but sometimes.
Yeah.
My favorite artist is Jonathan Colton. His most popular song is about monkey. It's about a monkey.
Even with that, it's like absurd. It's not like no, I can't say that in terms of words. Back that butt up. You're working with some.
Yeah, I don't listen to a lot of club music, if that's what you're trying to say. I'm not big into club music. No.
Like those.
No, you're right. I don't.
Yeah, that's not up your alley.
I'm not much of a dance music guy, I suppose.
Yeah.
Unless we're talking about old time jazz and swing.
I love a song where it tells you what to do with the dance.
Like a cha-cha slide?
Cha-cha slide, killed it. Electric slide doesn't tell you. You just have to know it. That's tricky.
The hustle just tells you to do the hustle.
Yeah. See, those are really tricky because you feel left out until someone teaches you.
Oh, the Cupid Shuffle's pretty good. Cupid Shuffle tells you everything.
Oh, I don't think I know Cupid Shuffle.
To the right, to the right, to the right, to the right, to the left, to the left, to the left.
That wasn't like a black dance, was it?
Now. I don't know. Well,
no,
First of all, how would I know? Second of all,
I know Electric Slide was, and I didn't know it growing up because I didn't grow up in the States, and in Canada we didn't have that. So it took going to my half sister who lives in Florida, going to her graduation party, and everyone. I'm wrong. Going to my great uncle's 85th or like 80th birthday here in New York.
Okay.
And everyone was doing it. And I just went, I don't know this. And you feel so dumb.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like the first time you go to a bar mitzvah and everyone does the Cotton Eye Joe, and you're like, I've never done the Cotton Eye Joe.
There is who sings Cotton Eye Joe?
Rednecks. They're a Swedish hillbilly electronica pop band. It's as weird as it sounds. Their names.
Because I think that song was worse than anything Nickelback put out. I listened to if you had to choose We'll do this as a poll.
Episode 12, the episode where Janelle defends Nickelback for 20 minutes.
I'll die on that hill. I don't care.
What's your favorite episode of I'm Trying, little Jimmy? I like the one where Janelle defends Nickelback for a long time.
I hope Sammy Kappa, who designed our artwork, tweets about this, because she already tweeted about me defending Iggy Azalea. That it was a super big reveal. But no, if you had the choice to choose... Okay, what would you choose? Hearing Cotton Eye Joe every hour on the hour for the rest of your life, and having to sing along and dance, or
having to sing along that's required.
Yeah, or hearing Nickelback Photograph every hour on the hour.
Do I have to sing and dance to Photograph too?
No, because not.
Because you got to make it fair, Janelle. You got to make it fair.
No, you'd brood or like.
You brood.
However old people are that are getting super hyped up about Endgame right now, like 14, 15. Actually, that's a bad example because all of my 30-something friends are hyped.
I just saw it yesterday
over Avengers.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was that hype age when not Superman, Spider-Man came out, and Hero with Chad Kroeger and Josie Scott, that's a good song. I'm sorry, it's.
I love how
it's objectively a good song.
I love how your big memory of the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies is Chad Kroeger singing a song.
Yeah, and the video was good.
Did it feature Spider-Man?
Of course it did.
Well, then of course it was gonna be good.
There's two standout songs from that movie. Shout out to Andrew Zuber if you're listening, because I know we've watched this over and over again. And there was the Chad Kroeger, Josie Scott, and they say that a hero will save us, not gonna stand here and wait.
I'm aware of the song, yes.
You're trying to not put respect on it, which is very angering me a lot. But the other song was Secondhand Serenade. The hope dangles on a string like slow spinning redemption. Blah, blah, blah. Vindicated, I am selfish, I am wrong, I am right, I swear I'm right. Swear I knew it all along.
I don't.
Oh my god, I feel like that's the song you'd be into.
Maybe.
Unless you thought it was too pretentious.
I admittedly, for being, I was, what year did Spider-Man come out? Like 2004?
I think that's exactly the year. I was going to say 2004.
I was 9. So I definitely watched the movie, but that era of music, the early 2000s scene that a lot of my contemporaries kind of defined themselves by, I feel like I missed it. Maybe I was a little bit younger, or I just wasn't paying attention.
Maybe you weren't allowed to watch it because of the upside down makeout scene.
I watched Spider-Man as a kid, yeah. I'm not talking about the movie. I'm saying that era of music in general. Like, a lot of that stuff kind of flew over my head.
Damn, peak Britney?
Honest, no. I had Britney Spears. I had the first. I had Oops, I Did It Again. It was like that was
1999.
One of the first CDs I ever had. But there was this thing in the early 2000s where a lot of my friends now are like, they'll go to scene nights and they'll emo music nights and they'll go these clubs that play all this 2000 to 2008 kind of mix of pop and rock.
Yeah.
And none of it affects me. None of it.
No emotional response at all.
Very little. I'm only familiar with so much of it. Meanwhile, I know the entire Ben Folds discography for some reason.
I don't even.
So it's this weird thing where I missed a whole bunch of stuff for some reason.
I think it fits your brand. Imagine if you just got back into that. Yeah. And
I became a huge
2003
Secondhand Serenade fan.
Or Lindsay Lohan's big. Well, it makes sense given who's on the show this episode.
Go for it.
Kind of. She's not on the show. She was phased out.
Lindsay Lohan's our guest on today's episode.
Actually, Dina Lohan is our guest. Get it right?
Oh, please no.
No, Lindsay Lohan came out. People don't remember this, but she had a brief music career, and I was a fan. Now I think anyone that's listening, you're gonna expect that. If I said I liked, if I thought Nickelback was okay, and U2, and Iggy Azalea, this is, and I'm not. I swear, I'm not trolling. Lindsay Lohan's first single, Teenage Drama Queen, I loved it so much, And then she came out with her pop hit Rumors, where in the music video she's in a bird cage and it's all edgy and she looks great. And then the climax of the music video, she goes to a rooftop of the club because the whole song is like, I'm tired of rumors, stud, and sick of being followed, all the paparazzi, everything.
Okay.
So she escapes to a rooftop and helicopters are circling her. Helicopters are circling her, and then what does she do? What do you do when helicopters are circling you?
Sprout wings and fly away.
That one makes sense. Not Miss Lohan. Dance break.
Yeah.
And it was pretty good. It was
Pop
good.
stars, yo.
Yeah, and it was like a dance break. Like, I miss a dance break in a music video. And it was like this weird guitar riff that was like clearly, I don't know, not...
Out of place.
No, it actually was very in place for the song. But it didn't say, like, you can't, when you listen to it, you don't imagine someone playing it. Mm-hmm. It's just like a cut and paste. I guess that's your point. But but it sounds like when you hit on the keyboard, when it comes with the preset music things.
Oh, like she was playing like the guitar setting on the keyboard?
Yeah, it's like bam, 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 bam. But the choreo was on point. And if this is getting so deep, but I know someone who's been listening to the podcast. Shout out to Tito Faustino. We both know all the moves to that Lindsay Lohan dance break.
You know, remember that time when you like kind of forced the name of that Limp Bizkit album into my head?
Chocolate Starfish and
the
hot dog flavored water. Oh my god!
And now I still remember that, and now I have that in my memory. I feel like that's the same for you. You have this huge block of your brain that could be like cool science facts or like how to do your taxes.
It's trash music.
And instead it's like the choreography from a Lindsay Lohan song.
Oh my god.
Same idea, just like that could be anything.
One day
you could know how to like change like your pipes to like save some money on some plumbing.
Yeah, change a tire.
Change a tire. Practical skills.
Joke's on you, because one day I'm going to be at a trivia night in New York, and that's going to be the question. The bonus.
And I'm going to be hosting that trivia night.
And I'm going to win, I don't know, maybe like $25 or something. I'm gonna have. Thank you, Lindsay. And then sing her song from Herbie, Fully Loaded, first.
I don't know.
That was a good song, too.
Oh, like she was going to come in first.
Yeah.
Place.
Yeah.
In the little bug race.
She had a cool little, not a dance break, but a little, you know, in songs sometimes when they speak and it's cool and they do like their cool sexy speaking voice where she stops it.
Yeah,
She's like, I want to come first. I want to come first. Hey! And then she she continues with the song.
Ooh, I mean, don't get me wrong, I love a good sexy speaking break.
Our guest today is the amazingly talented Rick Younger, who currently is on Mean Girls on Broadway.
Yes, he is.
Playing Mr. Duval, the principal.
That guy. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Not to be confused with Robert Duvall.
Different people.
Yeah. That'd be a whole nother musical.
Yeah, the Mean Girls currently at the August Wilson Theater, correct?
Yeah.
And it was cool because we got to head to the theater and meet him after a matinee showing.
Yeah, on location
On
interview.
location. So
Look at us.
I know, we're moving on up. You might actually like... we did the interview in his dressing room, which was awesome, and it's cool, like backstagey kind of area. You might hear some like noise from the street in the far background of the audio because it was hot and we had to open a window, and I thought it was kind of special actually. I really enjoyed when I was editing the episode. I really enjoyed like listening to the there weren't even that many sirens, just like the general kind of like middle of Manhattan kind of sound far in the background, like not distracting, but just like there, like framing the scene, like you're on Broadway listening to this, you know. It's cool.
There's songs about that I've heard being on Broadway, and it was such a Broadway New York experience because when we showed up, well, I met you there, and there were just all these fans waiting outside for autographs, and then we were kind of trying to find our way and
security
like these people.
Security led us behind like the gate, you know, where that separates the cast from the fans, and we were just like waiting there to go inside for a little bit, and like the fans are all just standing around us with their playbills, and we're just like there with a backpack full of audio equipment.
We totally could have said we were someone in the play. I could have said I was the unfriendly black hottie.
Anyways, this intro was all over the place. I enjoyed it. I hope you did too.
Okay, thank God you did.
Anyways, Rick Younger is a fantastic performer on Mean Girls. He's a comedian. He's a singer. We talk about how he got how he got from not really doing super good in college to all the way up to Broadway and the process of getting there. And it was a really cool interview and a really cool location. And we hope you enjoyed listening as much as we enjoyed having it. So talk to you after the podcast.
Bye.
See you later.
That was pre-engineering was the first major. Of course, I tested into calculus, so I had an 8 o'clock calculus class. I had chemistry, and I also didn't get on-campus housing. At that time, there was a lot of overcrowding in housing. So what they would do is they would either put you in one of the hotels, which is along Route 1 where University of Maryland is, or they would give you some of your money back and you commute from wherever you were from. And, money back. I was like, and so my brother at the time happened to be stationed at an Air Force base not too far from University of Maryland's campus. So our big thing was we would get up in the morning, we would drive to his Air Force base, drop him off, and then I'd take the car, drive up to Maryland's campus, take my classes, then go pick him up, and then we drive back to Baltimore. Great idea in theory, except that also meant we had to get up early. It meant we had to deal with rush hour traffic going and coming. Also meant that being young men as we were, it's like we had to stay up late at night talking to our girlfriends on the phone. And so... And of course, I'm in college, so I'm supposed to be doing homework and things like that. So, as the semester is going on, I'm getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning is harder and harder. We're more tired. We're sleeping, we're driving down the highway and sleeping. I mean, both of us, like heads back, sleep. We wake up every once in a while. We're almost off the road. That's like the fact that we lived through it was like that was already a major accomplishment. So. I never got to the 8 o'clock class on time. And it's calculus. You missed the first class, you are behind. And so I was
those fundamentals.
Yeah, so calculus class, I never made it on time. Chemistry was in the afternoon, which meant it was time to take a nap. So I slept through chemistry.
Wow.
I mean, one time, I would sleep every chemistry class I would sleep. It was in a big lecture hall. And one day I went to class and I'm sitting on like the edge, the edge of the aisle, and I'm dozing off. I mean, like that kind of doze off where you like try to put your head in your hand, but you keep sliding off. And so I kept doing that. And then one time I slid off and almost fell into the aisle of the stairs going down to the bottom of the lecture hall. When I almost fell and rolled down the steps, I just got up, picked up my books, and left. And it was like...
So you went from dream state to I gotta go.
And it was... And I mean, I've heard stories on your podcast of people with bad GPAs, but no one beats me. I had a 0.6 GPA.
No.
Wow.
Yes.
And they let you stay.
Yes, they did. They did let me stay. And the thing that's so messed up about that GPA is that whenever you go like to meet with a counselor, you'd have to, they always ask your GPA, and there's always somebody working who's a student.
Yeah.
So now they know what your GPA is, and they're not very good. Nor do they try to be very good about hiding the shock of your GPA or even laughing at you. Matter of fact, I eventually joined a fraternity, and a guy who was my frat brother, who I didn't know at the time, wasn't my frat brother yet, but I eventually became his frat brother. He was working there, and to this day, I've never even told him this, but it's like I told him, and he laughed at me. I was like, dude, I mean, why are you working the desk if you can't control that? Then you don't need to be working here. But yeah, it was but I didn't want to be there anyway. But but I got it together. I obviously got my GPA up high enough to pledge a fraternity.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm guessing your family did not know about the .6.
Of course they knew about the .6.
What?
How would they? I mean, the grades had to go home.
You're right.
What was their reaction?
It's like, you gotta do better. It's like, what are you doing? It's like, we know you can do better than this.
Yeah.
But they also they also knew that the living off campus and commuting was the reason for it. So like next semester you're on campus, and all right, so I did, and eventually I just stayed on campus all the time. As a matter of fact, it got to the point where my mother's like, you don't never come home anymore. I was like, well, there's a lot going on campus. I got to be there. So,
Yeah.
there was partying. There was, all kinds of stuff. Yeah, it was great. I love college. So, like, I stayed for 6.5 years.
Yeah.
Throughout the chemistry and the calculus.
Yes, because
about that.
what happened is after that, I kept doing the change the major. So after, so I was like, okay, I don't want to be an engineer, and I don't like all this chemistry. I'm like, it's not fun for me. I was like, okay, everybody keeps saying I should be a lawyer. All right, let's do government and politics. So I was government and politics, and I was like, I don't really like this. Then I was like, maybe I'll do RTVF, which is radio, television, and film, because that's, because if you would have asked me in college what I really wanted to do, I would have told you to write, produce, and direct for television and film.
There you go.
So I was like, all right, radio, television, and film. I started doing that. I did like that, but now I'm kind of getting to the point where I'm in college for so long that I need to figure out how to get out of here. So I went to see a counselor, and they was like, you know what, you have enough requirements pretty much fulfilled in radio, television, and film and Afro-American studies to make those your minors, and you could get a degree in American studies. I was like, that's what we'll do.
Cool.
And I thrived in American studies, because American studies is like, it's culture studies. It's the reasons behind the history, not the history itself. And I mean, when you think about comedians, that's what we do, you know. And it was like, I did well. I wanted to read the material and everything. And once I got the major that kind of suited me, I went ahead and graduated.
There you go.
And so, yeah.
As a broadcast television major, I totally get it. You don't necessarily start there because, like, I've always wanted to be a news anchor. You're
Right.
like, oh, look, cameras and writing.
Yeah.
Okay, microphones. I see.
Right.
Jason, absolutely.
Well, that's why I always tell people, because you meet a lot of young people doing being in a Broadway show who have dreams, and you're like, I'm a big advocate of go towards your dream, because everybody that starts towards the dream doesn't always turn out being what you think it is, but you might find the real or actual dream while starting towards something else. So many people that I know, like, start out as performers, become directors, agents even. It's like, it's so many possibilities of where you can go with it. And so it's like, at least start there. And hopefully you have parents that don't discourage that. There's so many things that are honorable professions that a lot of times we act like they're not.
Yeah.
Because we always base it on, we watch people who are movie stars and like, oh my goodness, another one in rehab. And like, if you grow up in a church environment, it's like, that it's almost like you're deciding to be a part of a sinful world and a sinful life. So I understand it. I'm just like, I'm not going to perpetuate that. If my kids want to do something, that whatever they want to do, all right, do it. I mean, whatever. I mean, hopefully it's something that I'm not like, what? Like, if
you want to be a lawyer?
Like, yeah, that's how I would probably be about that. I mean, people always talk about it as a father, it's your job to keep your daughter off the pole. I'm like, yeah, man. I'm like, I'm not spending my children's life worrying about protecting their sexuality or virtue. It's like, I feel like if I just, part of being a parent is being the good example, and also just being the kind of person that's open and loving enough towards them that makes them not afraid to be who they are.
That's huge.
Yeah, so that's what I'm hoping to do with my kids.
Yeah.
And when I did have a 9-to-5 job, I spent the last 3 hours of work straightening out my desk. I would go to lunch the latest possible time so that I could get back with only 3 hours left. And it was like, Okay, let's move that pencil from over here to there. All right. All right. Hey, it's a file cabinet over there. Let's go over there and see what needs to be organized. And I would just spend all my time trying not to work. Yeah. And when I was
that's a skill in itself.
Yeah, the little bit of time that was acting. I was practicing. And the little bit of time I did have a job after college, it was like I'd already started doing stand up.
And yeah, how did that come into play? When did you?
Well,
do you remember your first set?
Oh, I remember it well. I wanted to be a singer, and so that was my plan: get out of college and really start pursuing the music. And right before I got out of college, Def Jam had just hit. So one of my best friends loved Def Comedy Jam, and he was like, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do stand-up comedy. And he was so excited about it, and he was like, hey man, I found out about this open mic night at the Greenbelt Comedy Connection. I'm going up there, you should come with me. I thought he wanted me to come and to support him. And I was like, sure, I'll go support you if that's what you need to help you get up on stage. He's like, no man, you make people laugh, you should get up there too. And I was like, all right, if that's what you need to get you going, I'll go.
Wow.
I said, but if I bomb, I'm never doing it again.
Wow.
And so he was like, well, open mic is next week. I said, all right, cool. And I decided, since I make people laugh all the time, that this week I would pay attention to what I said to make people laugh, and then come up with material based on the things that I made people laugh about that week. It was the first week where I did not make anybody laugh for 6 days. And so I'm like, I resigned myself to the fact that, well, I'm a bum, but I'm a singer, so I don't care. And so on the way to meet him on campus, because we decided we're going to meet on campus, then we're going to go to open mic. On the way to meet him on campus, Boyz II Men, End of the Road came on.
Oh.
And that part. And I just started talking out loud. I said, what is that brother talking about?
I don't know what I'm going to do.
Right, exactly. I was like, so I'm just sitting there, just stream of consciousness talking about, singers where you can't understand what they were saying. And I talked for about 5 minutes in my car. It went from them to Elton John with Benny and the Jets. And so I was like, the light bulb here was like, there it is. So I'm like, I go up there and I said, dude, I think I know what I'm gonna do. Wow. And then so he's like, well, let's go up on campus, go to the girls' dorm, and try this out on a couple of our friends. Wow. So we went and we did our sets twice. Our friend Katina was working the front desk, and we did it for her. Then we went upstairs. A few other friends that we knew were up there, and they all were on the same floor, and we did it again for them. And then we were like, all right, let's go. And the thing that was really cool was that open mic, the first time you go on, you pay $5, but it was all you could eat pizza. I'm I'm a college student. Yeah. Oh yeah. So to me, that wasn't even about open mic. This was $5 all you can eat pizza. I was like, dude, it was no way I could lose that night. And probably that, in retrospect, that's what made me so comfortable and relaxed, and I was able to do well. Was that just the fact that everything else about it was like already a win. So one of the comedians going on that night was a fraternity brother of mine. And so I had no idea that he was going to be there. He was a fraternity brother from a different chapter, so I knew him because we all knew each other from different chapters, but he didn't go to my school, so that's why I didn't know he would be there. So I get there and I see him. His name is Peanut. And
his name is Peanut?
Peanut is his name.
Okay.
So I'm like, what's up, man? What you doing? He's like, I'm about, I do this. He made it sound like he was the man. I was like, oh, okay.
Peanut about to make some butter.
It's like, go ahead, Peanut, do your thing, man. I was like, all right, I deference, And so Peanut went on and died the death of 1,000 comics. I was like, what the heck? Peanut? I was like, you told me that you were going to do this, Peanut. You lied to me. So, so Peanut did his thing, and I was on like 2 or 3 comics after Peanut, and so I just walked up on stage and I was like, hey y'all, this is my first time doing stand-up comedy on stage. But after seeing what Peanut just did, I figured anybody could be funny. And everybody laughed. But I was just speaking, once again, that stream of consciousness that just happened earlier. It was the same thing. I was just kind of like saying, hey, this is my first time, and the pressure's off because Peanut sucks. But but I wasn't trying to diss him. And so when everybody laughed and reacted, I said, oh, no. I said, I know Peanut. and I even flashed in the fraternity, so yo. And so that made them laugh even more, like, oh my goodness. And something inside said, now do those jokes that you came up with on the way here. And I went straight into my set.
Wow.
And had this great first set, like the kind of first set where it's like, wow, that was,
how rare that is.
It's very rare. But it was also... I had to have that to be here today, because I was like, if I bomb, I'm never doing it again, and I so meant that. I mean, it's kind of,
those are real extremely high standards.
Well, the thing is that it's oddly enough, it's kind of like that's how a lot of talented people are. That's why a lot of talented people quit before. Talented people have this belief that as soon as someone sees me, they're gonna basically be like wowed and take me away, like. I'm going to go up on the comedy club stage, and I'm going to make everybody laugh, and that producer's going to be in the back of the room, and I'm going to be like Freddie Prinze, and you see what it did to Freddie. But it's like, it's the type of thing where talented people expect faster results, and when it doesn't happen, they get discouraged and quit. Whereas people because we've all seen that person where we're like, I don't know who told that guy he was funny. Who told that girl she was funny, but she keeps getting up there. And the next thing you know, the guy that was talented, all the talented people start falling off, and the person that didn't quit keeps getting better. And that's the thing about comedy. Comedy is one of those things where you can get better as long as you leave yourself the room to get better. If you believe you can get better. If, even though you have great bits already, you're willing to abandon those bits to expand and grow. Because there are a lot of people who are really good, and it's like their material never changes. And then it's like people are like, man, 5 years ago he was funny, and now it's like I can, it's like I can do a sing along with his set. And so it's like, it's just one of those things where I needed to do well, just so I could do it long enough to see that I could do it. And it was like, so I did well enough early on where by the time I bombed, I'd already made the decision that I want to do this and I can do this.
You're committed.
And, because I also know people who bombed early after starting all right, and the first bomb got rid of them.
It hurts.
It's like
you were already treating it like a craft. Like, you didn't just get up there. You were writing your material. You were testing it out. What worked.
And I have my writing style isn't a write down type of material, but when I started doing comedy, I decided I would be a student of laughter, comedy, and what I did that made people laugh in real life. So it's like after a while, I kind of could tell when I said things in real life that was good enough to take to the stage. I also learned that when I speak passionately about things, it's something about the way I do that where I can be dead serious and I will make someone laugh, and I'm like, there's some comedy in that. So that's also why I can talk about my father's death, like on stage. It's like I have the ability to talk about race and things that aren't always comfortable for people, because I've learned that my passion makes me funny, and I've learned what things I say that make people laugh, and when I do certain things a certain way, how it makes people laugh. A lot of times if I do short sets, I'll make sure that there's some music in it because I know it's entertaining to people. But like obviously I'll do like hours of material, and the music will be maybe 10 minutes out of a whole hour. So
well, it's cool to have a hybrid. I mean, that lets you stand out. It's special. How does that? I mean, it's a great tool belt. So how does that end you up on Broadway?
The funny thing about it is that
the guys at the back of the room.
You're right.
Yeah. Well, I actually got I caught the acting bug when I did let me say it like this. I back when I was performing in DC, one night someone at the show who was a casting director, was casting a one of those black gospel stage plays.
Okay.
And she was like, I want you to come and audition for this show. It's called What Goes Around Comes Around. It's directed by a guy named David E. Talbert, who actually has gone on to direct movies. He's directed the movie First Sunday with Ice Cube and Tracy Morgan.
Yeah.
Oh.
And I can't remember the most recent one he did, but Monique was in it, and JB Smoove and the whole, so it's like, so now David does that. But so she had me come down to audition because I was funny and so I could sing. And so I went down and I auditioned and I got cast. At the time, I didn't realize it. They were bringing me. They brought me in, and they were like, "We want you to play the lead role," but they already had the guy, and I guess he wasn't acting right, so they brought me in to kind of scare him. So they put me in like, all right, go in. They gave me a scene, whatever, and they told me to go in, and I went in, and I had the room laughing and everything, and I guess they were like, now look, you better get it together, or that guy's gonna take your part.
Oh my God.
Well,
Wow.
he got his act together, and they gave me a smaller part in the play, but that was the thing that kind of got me. Gave me the acting bug. So I was like, all right, I'm going to really start pursuing this. And I was like, I'm going to start coming to New York and start making my presence known in New York. And I just did the research to figure out how to just get involved in the New York scene. So I started coming up. I started doing stand-up up here. I started getting backstage and all that other stuff and submitting for stuff. And then I found, excuse me, one of the things I like about New York is that you can submit directly to casting directors, whereas in LA, not so much.
It's all through agents.
Yeah, so it was like, so at the time, I remember seeing Rent on the Rosie O'Donnell show, and I was like, I didn't know anything about the show. All I knew is that this was a diverse cast, and I could see people that looked like me, and I was like, I want to be in that show. So I went and I found out who cast Rent, and I sent headshots. Then one day out of the blue, I got a call for an audition, and the audition was for Broadway replacements for Rent. So they sent me, they reached out to me and told me to prepare music for the parts of Collins and Benny.
Wow.
Me being so inexperienced, I just thought that meant listen to the cast album, listen to the songs done by them, pick one of them, and show up at the audition. So at the time I was in Baltimore, and so the day of my audition, I got on the bus and I came up, and I was like, I at least had the foresight to say, okay, my audition's in the afternoon. I need to get there early, go past the casting director's office and pick up the material that they have and just go over that. And so when I got there, I got the material. It was obvious that, they have specific things that they want me to sing, and I don't know any of these songs. And I was like, I got another plan. I will go down to where the audition is, and I'm going to just hang out there all day long listening to what they're doing in the room.
Wow.
But I get down there, and they don't have any morning auditions.
Oh.
I'm like,
that was such a good idea.
I'm like the second or third person scheduled in the afternoon. But I'm like, all right, well, I'll just come back in the afternoon. I'll get there early. I'll listen to a couple of guys in front of me, and then I'll go in there and do it.
The parrot.
And so I listened, and I was like, no, I'm not going to be able to do that. So I just went to the room, and I was like, hey, when you guys told me to prepare music for Rose of Collins and Benny, I just thought I just needed to go listen to the cast album and pick a song. So these songs that you have right here, I don't know them, but I do know one of the songs from the show, and they were like, well, this guy, he doesn't play for the show, so he doesn't really know those songs. He just is playing because he has music in front of him. So she's like, well, go ahead and sing a cappella. And I sung the I'll Cover You reprise a cappella. And she said, well, I can see that you can sing. I'm going to give you a call back. Come back next week and have the stuff prepared.
What?
So I came back for a call back, and I didn't get cast as Broadway. So a few months passed, and they reach out to me about auditioning for the national tour. So I was like, all right, I did that. I got cast in the national tour of Rent, and I was like, I figured that was going to be my path to Broadway, because they basically would take people from the tour and eventually move them to Broadway, and that never happened for me. I just happened to start doing more TV and film and commercials. And as time progressed, I kind of told my agents that I had no interest in auditioning for stuff that was going to go out of town. I didn't want to tour. I'm like, so basically, I'm only interested in auditioning for stuff that's headed to Broadway or off Broadway.
Sure.
Which, of course, that narrows down the stuff that I can go out for, but it's just the reality.
It's like,
and so years pass, and then like a couple of years ago, right after, Hamilton is hot, and my agents reached out to me about possibly submitting me for Hamilton, Chicago.
Wow.
And I was like, well, it is Hamilton. I said, for Hamilton, I will go out of town. But the audition never materialized. But about a couple of weeks later, I get an email with, hey, here's material for Mean Girls. You're going in a week from now for the creative team. So I was like, well, the creative team, I'm pretty sure that includes Tina Fey, who's probably the book writer. Yeah. And so I auditioned a couple of times for Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt and hadn't got it. So I was like, well, I'll audition for this so that they'll see me and remember me for Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt.
There you go.
I'd also had a slight connection to Tina in that I used to write for Tracy Morgan. I wrote for one of his specials. So I just, so it was kind of like, okay, just that feeling of knowing that you have rolled in circles that people are in. I wasn't going to go into the audition and mention that, and I didn't for the longest time. But I went and I prepared, and I was like, they had me sing a song, and I had a whole bunch of like sides to choose from, and I looked at all the sides, and I picked a side that I was like, that one right here, this is the meatiest one, and that's the one I'm gonna prepare. The other ones I'm like, whatever, but this one I'm gonna prepare. As soon as I finished my song, they were like, do the side. They asked me to do the side that I prepared for. And I mean, like the first line, I'm like, I got the laugh, and as a comedian, you're like, ooh, you're feeding off of that. And it was like, I knew that I had a great audition. And I left, and I had to go see my agent for something. I can't even remember at this point. Probably like to write them a check for something. But I get to their office, and they're like, so how things go? I said, well, it's cool. I made people laugh, so we'll see. And while I'm at my agent's office, they're like, well, they must have liked you, because I just got an email from them saying, make sure Rick is available for the dates of so that's not a booking, but it's kind of like, okay, hey, we want to make sure. And I was like, yeah, I'm good. And so by that evening, my agent called and said, hey, how'd you like to hang out with Tina Fey for a little while? I was like, I think I could do that.
All right, that was our episode. You can follow Rick on Twitter and Instagram at Rick Younger. Check out his comedy album, Fried Chicken and White Bread, on iTunes. And see him on Broadway in Mean Girls the Musical at the August Wilson Theater. If you enjoyed the show, please leave us a review on iTunes and tell your friends. It helps word about the show spread like a rumor.
And of course, make sure you're subscribed to easily download new episodes. I'm Trying is hosted, edited, produced, and scored by JhanelleDennis and me, Jacob Derwin. Our cover art was created by the fabulous Sammy Kappa. See more of her work at SammyKappa.com. That's SAMICAPPA.com.
You can follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at ImTryingShow. And if you want, You can also follow us individually at JhanelleDennis and Jacob Derwin.
If you've screwed up or embarrassed yourself and are looking for help,
Or pity.
reach out to us on Twitter or email at ImTryingShow@gmail.com, and our team of crisis experts will be more than happy to assist you.
Yeah, we're reasonably happy.
Thank you so much for listening, and in the words of Lindsay Lohan,
What?
I'm gonna live my life, but not the way you want me to.
I'm sorry you had to say that.
So pleased with yourself.